Yo, 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 yo. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, guess what? It's that time again. You know what time it is? You know what time it is? It's that hour, it's that minute, it's that second, it's that millisecond, it's that time again. And you know who it is. It's me, it's that DOOGIFRANCHISE. Yes, sirree, in the place to be. And guess what? Once again, I am not alone. Oh, no, 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 no. I got a guest with me today. I got a guest with me today. As of now, by the time this episode drops, he will be once known as the director of community programs at the world famous Apollo Theater. He is also an event and show producer. He is a radio host of the Harlem Connection radio show. He's also a freelance writer. Yes, this man does a lot. This man does a lot. His name, and he's also a great person. I'm not going to lie to you. He's also an awesome guy. His name is Ade Williams, and you are on It's Show Off Season, baby. Hi.
I appreciate the intro.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's up, D?
I'm good. I'm chilling. How are you? How's everything?
Everything is okay. So let's get into it. What we gonna be talking about?
You know what? Let's let's talk about the radio show, the Harlem Connection radio show, which you started. And when you told me about it, I was like, "Oh snap! You got a radio show!" And I was like, "Cool. Let's get into that. How did that come about?"
Uh, huh. That's an interesting question. The abbreviated version is I was fortunate enough um, to have met the general manager of a radio station, WBAI, and uh, we were um, we were trying to connect through the Apollo, and he wanted to do some stuff with the Apollo, but we kept talking, and he started talking about the station in general, and then he said, "Hey, he needed some new show ideas, and if I knew anybody, he could send some people his way, what have you." And I did. So my friends and I pitched them the Harlem Connection. It started in 2020, November of 2020. So we're coming up on our 2 year anniversary.
Awesome.
And the show is basically this. It is um it's primarily a music radio show, right? But the hook of it is we play music from all different eras. Like we've played stuff literally from the 1920s up until 2022. We play stuff from different genres. We mix it up with one caveat, which is every song we play somehow has to be connected to Harlem. Now, how do we define that? It means either the artist or the songwriter or the producer is from Harlem, or the artist or the songwriter or the producer has performed somewhere in Harlem over the course of their career. And so that is the limitation. And so on a regular radio show, they'll play music. You'll hear the music, that's it. On our show, we'll play music, but then we'll tell you, like, okay, uh, you heard Thriller by Michael Jackson and the Harlem Connection. Well, Michael Jackson and his brothers were discovered in the at the Apollo Theater in Harlem. They performed for the Amateur Night Show for the Apollo Theater, and that's how their careers got launched. We followed that song by with Prince and Prince's Harlem Connection. Prince performed at a nightclub that's now defunct that was called Jimmy's Uptown Cafe, which was located on Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard between 130th and 131st Streets. And it was not a publicized concert. Prince just kind of snuck in the middle of the night and performed. And so if you didn't know, you didn't know. But if you were in the club that night, you're just chilling, getting your drinks, and all of a sudden Prince came up on stage, right? So we give some history about the connection, and that lets us talk a little bit about some of the venues and the history of the venues and what have you. And so it lets us promote artists because we play a lot of independent artists on the show who might have performed at
Nice.
uh,
I like that.
Jenny's Supper Club or Paul Music Cafe or Marcus Garvey. In fact, the funny thing is we've been talking about artists who performed at Marcus Garvey's Park for the Summer of Soul Festival, like at least a year and a half before the Summer of Soul movie came out. So we'd like to give information about Harlem. We'd like to promote the venues in Harlem. We like to promote artists. And that is the gist of what we do musically. But then there's another hook to it, which is every show has its own theme. So, for example, uh, we did like the Harlem Love Disconnection episode. That was right around Valentine's Day. And so every song we played, we're like, listen, if you pay attention to the lyrics of this song, these are songs that you do not want to dedicate to your significant other for Valentine's Day weekend. Because if you do and they pay attention to the lyrics, they're going to be a problem, right? Um, we've done
That's funny.
gospel. We've done gospel episodes. We do hip hop episodes. We've done uh, poetry episodes. We did this episode called Harlem Connection to Sonic Doppelgangers, two different songs by two different artists with oh, is that am I hearing helicopters? Is Popo coming for us? What's going on?
Oh yeah.
Oh no, okay, I'm innocent, and we did it, and we did like so Harlem Connection to Sonic Doppelgangers, two different songs by two different artists with the same title. And uh we just tend to have a lot of fun with it. We just come with a lot of different variations, and we're live Friday nights on WBAI and on rhythmandsoulradio.com. So we come on Friday nights at 10, WBAI, which is 99.5 FM in New York City, WBAI.org internationally, and rhythmandsoulradio.com. And so you can hear us. If you got apps, you know, you can get us to 1,000 different ways. And we tend to have really great DJs, and we also have a lot of really good guests. We've had D Nice and Al Sharpton and Melissa Harris Perry and on, and we have a lot of fun with it.
That's cool. I like that because it's a good like way of community outreach and connecting music and giving people like who actually like people a chance, especially those who can't get into certain places, but still be heard.
Yeah, I mean, we like it because again, there's so many small venues in Harlem, so many great places. Harlem is a world of music. If you walk around Harlem for 25 minutes, you're going to hear about seven different genres of music. This guy's going to be playing this from his car, and someone's playing this on the boombox, and this is coming from this store, and etc. So we're proud to kind of showcase Harlem, showcase the independent artists, talk about the small venues, talk about great historic venues like the Apollo Theater and Harlem Stage and the Schomburg Center. And we also, we certainly want people to tune in on Friday nights when we're on live. But if you miss us on Friday nights, if you go to WBAI.org/archive and then put in the Harlem Connection, you can hear the last 2 weeks on demand. You can just click and listen to whatever you missed over the last 2 weeks. So that's our show.
Okay, cool. You mentioned the Apollo, which
Yes.
a lot of people has come on to perform, done shows. Actually, before we get to that, I gotta ask one more question about the Harlem Connection radio show. If do you guys also do musical theater show songs if it was done in Harlem?
Sure. Oh yeah. Yeah. We play. Like I said, as long as they're somehow Harlem connected,
Yeah.
and then of course, then the other trick is for that particular show, like if we're doing uh, a show, we did a show right along with the Harlem Connection where every song was about being in a car or driving or being on the road. So yeah, um, you know, the songs will have to fit for that particular week's theme. But yes, yeah, we definitely want to use this opportunity to give people a showcase. And theater absolutely counts. So
Copy.
speaking of theater, you were about to ask me something about the Apollo.
Okay, so as of now, as we're recording this episode, you are the director of community programs. By the and as of now, as recording this episode, meaning it will not you things will change as by the time this episode drops. I just want to know, can you tell us about being a director of community programs? Like, what does that entail?
Sure. So the Apollo, uh, I'm sure all your listeners know, is like a world famous venue. Is internationally known, but part of how it became internationally known is it was, the best known theater in the world's best known village, which is Harlem. You know, I think sometimes as New Yorkers, we can sometimes overlook like how Harlem resonates throughout the world. Like when I have people visiting from other states, they think Harlem is a borough as opposed to part of a borough. But
That's
you
true.
like if I say Georgia, tell me someplace in Georgia, you'll be like, oh, Atlanta. I say, tell me somewhere in Florida, you'll say Miami, right? But you're hard pressed to tell me a neighborhood in Miami, right? You're hard pressed to tell me a neighborhood in other cities, but everybody knows the neighborhood of Harlem. And that's part of what helped make the Apollo, give the Apollo its renown. Part of my job over the last 15 years has been to make sure that we stay connected to Harlem, and that we are looking that Harlem is connected to the Apollo and the Apollo is connected to Harlem. So that has meant producing events specifically for New Yorkers, like with New Yorkers in mind, that aren't necessarily always entertainment oriented. So panel discussions about
Mm,
issues that relate to the community. We started doing a program called Apollo Uptown Hall, where we would talk about issues that relate to the community, but also hear back from the community in terms of like their questions or their comments or what have you. We did essentially, with the exception of the Kwanzaa annual event, which is cultural celebration. Everything else that we did through community programs was free of charge, whether it was the Apollo Open House or our Winter Wonderland or the Uptown Halls, or we had DJs underneath the marquee performing Apollo performances for Harlem Week or other events. And the whole premise is just kind of make sure that we're community connected and giving back to the community. In addition to that, um, we don't we I had a budget where I could buy tickets for not-for-profits, schools, shelters, after-school programs, domestic violence shelters, homeless shelters, where we would donate tickets to those constituents or residents so that they could have a chance to come to a paid Apollo event and have a night where they could take their mind off their troubles and just enjoy themselves. And that and finding partnerships so that while we're amplifying the Apollo, we're also amplifying organizations and the such, so that we're working together so that it's a win-win. Or whether it was with, for example, the Harlem Week Festival or the Channel 13 or Ballet Hispanico or others, where when we're winning at the Apollo, they're winning, and vice versa. And so that's been part of my work for the last 15 years.
all right. I'm. As you're telling me this, I'm not gonna lie to you. I understand you a whole lot better now.
Well,
Cause
thank you.
it it literally connects to. Remember, we spoke a couple of days ago, and I told y'all, and I thanked you because of, you know, your character, and as you're describing, I was like, yo, this shows in his character. He does make sure there's like a connection. He introduces himself, shakes hands, make sure he's identifiable, and then like who he like. I respect that. That's cool.
Thank you very much.
It's really something that I really appreciate. And so, what are okay? Some of your what are some of your like? You're also an event and show producer, especially based off what you just told us, what you were doing at the Apollo for the last 15 years, which is awesome. And all this can also connect to your radio show, the Harlem Connection. There's like a giant connection between all that now. That like what entails the details of being an event producer, like some of the what are some of your best moments, some of your like like as an event producer.
So yeah, great question. So typically it goes one of two ways, right? Either I uh would come up with an idea and bounce it off some folks and be like, well, what if we did this and that, right? Or my bosses would come to me and say, look, we want you to do fill in the blank, right? So that's it, always starts with an idea, right? Um, so uh, I'll kind of tie it in because I know but the listeners don't, that I actually, before all of this, was a comic book editor. And so all of this kind of ties in together. So so I started working in comics. And
Yes, I knew it.
so, you know,
Yes.
uh, so, so there'll be a comic book. I used to edit a comic called Impulse. And so I'm looking going, oh, okay, well, this is a funny concept of a comic. Like, the comic existed before I got there. Well, it's funny. Well, now that I'm taking it over and I need to keep producing the comic, well, who do I know that can write funny stuff? So we start with the writer. Then it's like, okay, now who can draw stuff that is funny, but also action oriented, but not so, like not martial arts kind of stuff, but like, hey, it's fast paced and it's energetic, but it's also like comedic. Okay, well, can I think of a penciler? And now, if I think of a penciler, who's the inker that can complement that penciler? And who's a colorist whose style and coloring will kind of like match the kind of energy that we want to have for the comic, right? And then you just kind of like then start reaching out, try and hire people, put them all together, create a schedule, and eventually have a product. And that's how we kind of did comic books. Well, for, that's essentially what I've been doing for all of my professional career. Like, essentially, that's the same thing we do for a show. So if it's at the Apollo, we want to do a panel discussion. Well, what issues do we want to talk about? Well, who would be a really great moderator or panelist? I'm sorry, a moderator for this. And now who would be some great panelists? Well, if we get this person to be a panelist, can we get somebody with an opposing viewpoint or what have you, so that there's a little bit like not 10 people all saying the same thing, but a little bit of dialogue and perhaps even a little bit of tension. And based on this particular topic, who can we get in terms of entertainment? So, for example, we did this event celebrating the 20th anniversary of South Africa's independence and what role Harlem played in the connection to the fight against apartheid. Well, we wanted to have a Harlem-based MC, but we also and moderator, but we also wanted to have a South African MC and moderator, which means now I'm going to reach out to the Africa channel to try to get a MC moderator from there. And I'm reaching out to the Daily News because they had a Harlem reporter to reach out there. And now I'm going to get like this guy from the South African consulate to be one of the panelists. But I'm also going to reach out to former Mayor David Dinkins because he was the mayor at the time that Nelson Mandela came to New York City. And need to have entertainment. So I'm going to get this South African performance group chorus to perform on stage. And so kind of once you have the idea of what the concept is for the program, then the kind of pieces in my mind start falling into place in terms of, oh, well, if we're doing this, that makes sense to do that. If we're doing that, it makes sense to do this. And it's similar to the radio show. Uh, so example, we did like summertime was coming, and we wanted to do an episode about summer and how hot it is. So we had all these songs about, okay, summertime and heat and sweating. So, we came up with, oh, okay, well, we could play Hot in Here by Nelly, and we could play It's Too Hot by Cool and the Gang. So now we're coming up with the songs, but also we wanted to address some of the seriousness of climate change. So we reached out to a group called We Act, which is a environmental organization based in Harlem, to talk about why the climate is getting so hot and what regular citizens can do to combat climate change. And that's how we came up with that particular episode. And so again, it always kind of just starts with an idea, and then just kind of like, okay, now how do we put the pieces together to make the idea um, diverse and creative, but also something that makes sense, so that you're not sitting there going like, well, why are they playing this song if the theme is this, or why are they have this panelist if the theme is that? And that's essentially the the fun part of creating shows and programs.
Cool. I'm about to sound super nerdy right now, but dude, you're like Zordon or Gaia for the Planeteers, or Zordon for the Power Rangers. You're like bringing the whole team together to form like the mighty figure of which is the event. That's pretty cool. Like,
I mean, thank you. It is cool. I will say there is something really, really great about sitting in a room or sitting at your desk or what have you, and be like, well, what if? And then days later, weeks later, months later, years later, actually like watching it happen and going, whoa, it really happened. That it kind of happened the way I thought it would happen. And then there's also the other magic of the unexpected, um, which, you know, can of course make it more stressful, but also make it more exciting, and also just like less predictable, because there's always an element that no matter how hard you plan for, you cannot plan for or predict, and that's kind of what makes life interesting.
nice. So you mentioned let's have a little fun real quick, because you mentioned you wrote for comics.
Uh, I
Editor,
edited.
edit, edit, edit.
I edited. I mean, there was some degree of writing. There's always some degree of writing and collaboration. But my main job. I mean, the interesting thing about all my jobs have been my utter lack of skill set. That's been so. I worked for, I mean, I've had like, these jobs where it says I'm unqualified, right? Like I can't draw, but I work for a comic book company, right? I can't sing or dance, but I work for the Apollo Theater. I'm not a DJ, but I have a radio
That's
show.
yo. That's a test to your character and connecting. Like
Oh yeah, I mean, it's basically just been having the luck to uh kind of be like, well, I can't DJ, but I know folks who can. And like, if we kind of come up with, well, what if we did this? I'm musically knowledgeable. I could come up with like, hey, we could play this song and that song and this, but get me on the turntables and it's a disaster. So, but I think that's part of life, which is, you know, I mean, there are very few people I know who can do everything. And almost everybody I know is really good at something. And it's just a matter of just finding the people who are really good at this and putting them in the right situation, and then just kind of watching it happen.
yo, that's part of my language, but that's fucking dope. Like, yo, yeah, I dig it. I dig it. Like, oh man, And then,
So you were about to ask a comic book question. I didn't want to. I think I sidetracked us. So
yo,
holla.
top five favorite superheroes.
Oh, well, I know who number one is. But my top five are the Falcon, Captain America, Batman. That's three. Uh, I'll probably at the moment I can't think of who four is. I'll say for right now, I'll say Nightwing for until I subject to change. But my number one favorite character of all time is Spider Man. Was like, yeah, I mean,
Yes.
he is. Uh, I mean, that's it.
Man,
Like, come on, like
that's
bro,
my
that
that's
that
my
is
number one. That is my number
yes.
one also.
No, listen, Spider. I mean, Spider Man. Just Spider Man's everything. Spider Man is Uh, he's a perfect metaphor for life. It is like, hey, with great power comes great responsibility. It's a dope costumes, great powers, but there's also the human element of sometimes we think that if we get one thing, then our entire lives are going to change for the better because of that one thing. Like, he's in high school, he's getting bullied, he's getting picked on. It's like, oh, if only I was stronger. It's like, well, yeah, now you're so strong that you can pick up a car and throw it. So now you never have to worry about the high school bully beating you up again because you could kick his behind. Except now you're in a world where people can pick up tanks or throw buildings. Like there's always someone stronger than you. So to think that, oh, if I suddenly just get super strength, or strength, that's going to solve all my problems, no. And in the same token, like you have folks who are, and I don't, obviously, like if you're poor, if you're destitute, if you're in a homeless shelter or what have you, and like you definitely need money. But a lot of times people think, oh, well, if I had more money, all my problems would disappear. It's like, no, some of them would, but there would be a whole new stack of other problems too. Like, oh, if only I was in a relationship, all my problems would disappear. No, your relationship problems in terms of being single would disappear, but you have new problems because now you're in a relationship and you got to think about two people. And I think, part of the fun of Spider-Man is that kind of realization that, yeah, like you have to grow and mature and change because the situation changing by itself does not change everything. Um, but yeah, just a all around amazing, great character.
Thank you. That's see. This is how I know you're a cool dude. Spider Man's your favorite superhero, like mine's. Like it makes sense. A lot is making sense. So we have a bit of a timer on my on the Zoom call. So I'm gonna try to maximize as much as I can.
Go
Do
for it.
you have any? I mean, you're doing the radio show now. Any upcoming events or coming up, or is just radio show?
For the time being, it's the radio show, but I mean that's an event every week. So again, Friday nights, 10 o'clock, WBAI 99.5 FM or WBAI.org or rhythmandsoulradio.com. And by the way, if you love independent artists and a mixture of genres, that's what Rhythm and Soul Radio does all the time. So rhythmandsoulradio.com. And we really hope folks will tune in every week. We try to get you with like you listen one week, you're like, okay, I get it. And then the next week we completely flip the flavor on you. So I hope folks will tune in. And then we're on Twitter. We are at Harlem Connect FM. That's at Harlem Connect FM. And on IG and Facebook, we are the Harlem Connection.
Nice. Oh man, this is usually the segment where I would tell people where they can find you, but you kind of beat me to it.
You can tell them again if you want to.
All right. So before we're winding down, Mr. Williams, can you please let the people know where they can find you and highlight you and
No, I was joking. I just said that. But again, at Harlem Connect FM on Twitter, the Harlem Connection on Facebook and IG. And WBAI 99.5 FM, WBAI.org, rhythmandsoulradio.com. We're on Friday nights at 10 o'clock. And if you missed that, tune in on WBAI.org/archive to catch the previous episodes. So there you go.
All right. I'd like to say once again, thank you for coming on. I appreciate this. You are a king amongst men.
Okay.
Like you're awesome. That's pretty much me saying you're awesome. Like I got to give you all the credit in the world because you do a lot.
I appreciate your kindness. And also I'd be remiss to say I not only appreciate how you've always interfaced with me and treated me over the years, but your own creativity and drive and your diversity of interests and I have a lot of respect for you and the people that you have chosen to hang around and become friends with. Like,
Thank
many
you.
of them, as you know, I have a lot of respect for as well. So I hope you keep on keeping on. And I thank you for giving us what I say us because the Harlem Connection is a collective. And so, uh, I'm taking the opportunity to promote it because it's like, I helm the show, but as I said earlier, it's a team of people from DJs to engineers, what have you, to put the whole thing together. And so thank you for giving us the opportunity to promote.
No problem, man. If you ever need anything, feel free to reach out. Like that's the whole point of this show is show of season. I like to like if I like talking to people who are doing stuff that are like cool and positive and like reach out, you know? And then if you need us to throw it up on a podcast or you need us to come through, talk. Ice is part of the crew. He's also a podcast member. Like there's people I know who just are down to help out with stuff like this. Like the a teacher I work with, I literally brag about you to him. Like, yo, this is the guy you should talk to if you ever pass through.
Well, hopefully when he hears this podcast, he's not disappointed.
Yeah. um but thank you for everything. Seriously.
Okay, wait. Your top five.
Okay. Top five. Well, number one is Spider-Man. Number two, okay. He's not my number two, but I like Flash. I like Shazam. Uh, who, 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 who.
Oh crap! Did I forget to say Luke Cage?
Yeah, you did.
Oh snap! Wait, yeah. Oh, I played myself. Sorry, Nightwing. I love Nightwing.
I love.
Okay, I'm gonna have to make the batai. So okay, but yeah, it's a flat. Oh, so you like guys with some energy. Shazam, Flash. You guys.
Yeah, I like Black Panther. And it's crazy because like I like I do like Nightwing. It's weird. I like Nightwing more than Batman, but they're like a tie for me, for different reasons. Because Nightwing does
Totally agree.
yeah. So that's how it is.
And in fact, they got I suppose nothing to do with the show, but right now, Nightwing is in my opinion, Nightwing's the best comic on the stands right now. There's a uh, Tom Taylor is the writer, and yeah,
Right.
oh man, they're just completely
So
kicking behind.
I gotta sign off real quick because
Yes.
it's about to cut off.
Yeah, we're okay. Yeah,
So
we're wrapping up. As we say on our show, we're pulling into the station.
copy.
So thank you so much for having me, and peace, love, and hair grease.
Thank you. Thank you. And you can follow the podcast at It's Show of Season on IG. You can follow the podcast on It's Show of Season on all podcasting networks. Also, you can follow me on IG, TikTok, because I got content on there now as I'm trying to get into this VO biz, at Doogie Franchise. That's DOOGIFRANCHISE. That's me. Yes, sir. You can follow me. And it's Show of Season. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hit you with an ending with a quick goodbye and good night.